Hey John, everyone, here we are back again together, R&R. Here we are, R&R. Kamusta kayo dyan, Secretary Ronaldo Llamas?
Kamusta, BR?
Yan, na-miss ka namin
BR, kamusta ang call mo? Preparation for Christmas. Dami
Ayan.
mo siguro na early na regalo. No?
Yun nga tatabi na natin mga regalo para sa'yo. May utang na naman ako sa'yo. Alam na natin dyan. Alam mo Ron, how it comes. Kung maraming regalo, marami rin utang. Kailangan ibalik din yan. Alam mo naman ang Ilocano style.
Kami mga karaniwan tao, dito na
Aba.
kami sa baba.
Aba.
Nagantay ng mga grasya, galing sa taas.
Aba.
Nagantay ng mugs, t-shirts. No?
Okay. Guys, let's be clear hindi niyo pa nakita yung gwapo natin guest pero medyo sosyalin na hotel yata ang sinistay niya ngayon. Hindi natin sabihin saan, di ba?
Pero ako lang to, pa 4-star.
Aba. May mga hanging ano pa dyan. May mga parang Scandinavian style Para alam ko yung hotel na yan Parang kilala ko yung hotel na yan may reputation daw yung mga nag-check-in dyan.
Hindi ito katulad ng mga hotels po sa Singapore, sa Malaysia, no, sa Europe. No, ito dito lang sa mga gilid-gilid.
Ronald, para sa bayan, service para sa bayan lahat yan. Bayad ng ibang mga gobyerno hindi sa Pilipinas. Diba? Yung mga sponsored events. Alright, ito. Dami natin pag-usapan. Let's first start, of course, with what has been dominating the news and of course also been a big concern for all of us. So doble ang nangyari no. So sa isang banda, binuli itong China, winotter cannon nila itong resupply vessels natin. At doon pa si Bronner, yung military chief natin. So my goodness, kung na-injury yan or something, medyo ibang usapan yan. And I wonder if the Chinese did it intentionally, what they're trying to do. But pangalawa, just as I was updating with what is happening dito, sa situation nila General Bronner and yung grabe mga higanteng water cannoning vessels nila, nakita ko yung update ng kaibigan natin si Bernabe from Al Jazeera na bumalik. Nag-turn around ang itong Christmas convoy natin, which is something you and I have been talking about. Now, of course, may mga nainis na kasama ko na sabi nila, bakit ganun ang nangyayari? Di sila pinaprotektahan kasi na-shadow sila ng 4 vessels from China. So ako nag-comment ako, me being me, nasaan yung, where on earth is our people? So immediately nag-respond, as in wala pang literally 1 minute, nag-respond si Commodore J. Tariliel ng Philippine Coast Guard with satellite footage and all saying na actually andun kami, we were there and we were encouraging them to stay their course, but mukhang yung kapitan ng itong convoy na ito decided that the risk perhaps was too much. So I have the government side and I reflected that on my writings. Shinare ko rin yan, nag-thank you rin ako kay Commodore J. Tariliel. But for the sake of fairness, what is the other side of the story? Because Ronald, you have been part of the organization of this special historic convoy.
Ako naman, papanood ko lang sa mga balita at saka sa mga statements, parang ang daming lumabas ng mga balita, no? At saka generally, very positive naman, no? Pero sabi mo nga kanina, nagsimula yan dun sa Scarborough the day before na yung mga BIFAR vessels ay winater cannon. At yung mga mangisda, pati yung mga mangisda, winater cannon tinamaan sila dahil yung BIFAR ay magdadala ng supplies at saka gasoline doon sa mga mangisda.
Right.
Sa Scarborough, sa Baho de Masinloc. No? Very innocent yung operations na yun no? BIFAR, hindi man lang Coast Guard, hindi man lang Philippine Navy, just bringing food, other supplies, at saka mga gasolina sa mga mangingisda nung sila ay binomba. Right. At mukhang ang balita ko, for the first time, may ginamit na parang mga sonic weapons. Yung nakakabingi, pang drive away ng mga
Jesus
mangingisda.
Christ! Oh, wow.
Mga BIFAR, no? Of course, kailangan yung confirmation dyan, pero medyo scaling up yan, no?
Yeah.
At after nyan, sa Ayungin naman, yung supply ship na na-damage, right, na nag-stall na, kaya kinakailangan i-tow ng mga Coast Guard vessels palayo ng Ayungin.
Right.
Yun nga yung nabanggit mo na nandun pala si Chief of Staff Browner. No?
Right.
Kaya nga, alam ko, itong Christmas convoy, initially meron silang 3 Coast Guard na escort. Yung 2, kinakailangan mag-rush sa Ayungin para tulungan yung supply ship na na-damage at hindi na makaandar.
So related yung dalawa. Okay. So may direct relationship.
Dun sa Christmas convoy, isang Coast Guard. Bagaman sabi nga ng Coast Guard, meron namang dalawang Navy na medyo malayo. No?
Right.
Ang alam ko, ang nangyari dito ay papasok pa lang sila sa Sabina Reef ba yun? Or Sabina Shoal.
Yeah.
Ay,
Right.
biglang may nakita silang dalawang Chinese Navy warships. Hindi Coast Guard, warships.
Yeah.
Battleships. No?
Nakatakot.
At dalawang Chinese Coast Guard. Isa rin ay parang supply vessel, no? At mabilis, no? More than 21, 22 knots per hour. Yung Christmas convoy ay 10 knots. So yung Chinese warships umiikot sa kanila. Iniikutan sila, no? At nakita mo naman sa front page ng Inquirer, pumagitna yung Chinese Coast Guard sa gitna nung Christmas convoy vessel at saka yung Philippine Coast Guard.
Right.
Doon na kinabahan yung captain nung Christmas convoy vessel dahil you have to understand, hindi naman kasi ito Coast Guard, hindi ito Navy. This is a first time captain na napunta sa lugar na yon, no? With a training ship. Medyo malaki, pero training ship. No, na kaya medyo kinabahan at nagulat siya dahil medyo dumidilim na. At ang tingin niya, yung bilis ng Chinese warships at Coast Guard, kung gagawa ng ganyong maneuvers, baka magbungguan sila. No, hindi siya sanay sa ganong klaseng git-gitan, no? Kahit sinabihan siya nung Philippine Coast Guard na kumaliwa
stay your course.
Para magmamaneuver kami sa gitna mo at saka nung Chinese Coast Guard at saka warship, hindi siya sanay sa ganon. So kinakabahan siya. At saka syempre, ang kanyang unang tungkulin ay protektahan yung kanyang barko at yung mga nandun sa barko na mga supporters ng atin ito at yung kanilang mga dala-dala mga donations. Kaya yun yung nangyari.
I see.
Na tama naman yung sabi ni
Coast
Guard spokesperson Tariela, na gusto sana nila na mag-proceed. Pero yung private boat captain ay kinabahan na dahil hindi nga siya sanay sa ganong klase ng mga maneuvers nitong Chinese warships. Hindi ito Chinese militia, no? Chinese warships, dalawa, at dalawang Chinese Coast Guard. No? Yun yung nangyari. Pero yung isang vessel ng atin ito, nakalusot. Yung mas maliit. Dumaan sila dun sa mas mababaw na dagat, kaya na hindi pwedeng puntahan ng mga Chinese warships at saka Coast Guard. Kaya nakalusot siya, nakaabot siya sa Lawak Island na nakapagbaba siya ng mga donations. No? Yung kalahati ng mga donations ay binigay sa Coast Guard at bahala na sila mag-distribute doon sa mga families nila at doon sa mga ibang mga fishermen doon sa lugar. No? Ganun yung alam kong nangyari doon sa mga nabasa ko na mga balita, both international at saka local. Pero galit na galit sila na ganun kalayo pa sa Ayungin, ay may dalawa ng warships.
Yeah.
No, imagine mo malayo pa sa Ayungin, may dalawang warships na. These are not militia na usually nakakaharap ng ating Coast Guard. These are Chinese battleships, dalawa, na ang bibilis. Kaya kinabahan yung kapitan ng private vessel ng atin ito. No?
So full intimidation tactic talaga yan. Kasi full intimidation tactic. So ito yung response ni Commodore Tariela sa akin. No? We were there, Richard, tagging me. The lead vessel is the Philippine Coast Guard. The one following from behind is Kapitan Oka. Oka ba? Is that how I pronounce it? The vessel.
That's the name of the ship. No?
Okay. Is behind is Kapitan Oka.
Vessel,
yes.
no?
The vessel coming from the right side of the convoy is the Chinese Coast Guard. So may pinakita siyang satellite imagery na pinost niya doon sa thread ko. It was the decision of the ship's captain, referring to Kapitan Oka, to go back despite our call to continue the mission. So that's why I wanted to get also your side because hindi na ako nag-back and forth on that because I felt,
Tama yun. Tama yung sinabi
oh,
ni
kasi
Pat.
baka mali ang lalabas na parang may sinisisi ako. I was just trying to clarify na
Tama yun.
nasan
Tama
yung
yun.
tao na. So, ang nangyari dito,
Actually, partly dyan, dahil yung nangyari nga sa Scarborough, tapos yung nangyari sa Ayungin, nag-create na lang ganong klaseng fear eh. Diba? Na hindi siya nangyari in a vacuum eh. May nangyaring build-up eh. Papunta ron, no?
Yeah.
Kaya nung nakaharap niya yung mga umiikot sa kanya, yung mga talagang ninervyos, no? Pero yung mga nakasakay sa boat, gusto magpatuloy. Gusto nila magpatuloy, no? Makita ko yung mga video eh, dun sa ship eh,
right.
ng Kapitan Oka. Sinasabi ng mga atin ito to continue, no? To proceed. Pero siyempre, yung kapitan na masusunod, bumalik siya, umikot siya, no? Dahil nga dun sa mga maneuvers, ang tingin niya ay delikado, no? Kung, alam mo naman, in the high seas, pag tumutol yung mga sakay ng barko, ang tawag doon, mutiny.
Yeah, parang nangyari kay Magellan crossing the Pacific, di ba?
Yung boat captain na masusunod, no? Dun sa,
martial law yan eh. Oo, martial law yan. Exactly, yeah.
Oo. Kahit sinasabihan siya ng Coast Guard, di na, magtago ka sa likod namin.
Right.
Sinasabihan ng Coast Guard, pumagitna ka. Siyempre, hindi sanay yung boat captain eh.
Right.
No? Hindi sanay yung boat captain sa ganyan. Mukhang wala siyang, first time niyang napunta sa lugar na yan, at first time man nakakita ng ganyang klaseng mga maneuvers. Doon siya kinabahan. Dahil sa bilis ng mga Chinese Navy battleships, tsaka Coast Guard, tingin niya kung magkamali siya ng ikot, bubungbuo siya. I wouldn't know. Hindi ko alam yung mga ganyang klaseng mga gusto nila magpatuloy doon sa Ayungin. No? Medyo frustrated sila, pero nauunawaan nila yung kapitan. Kahit yung mga media na nakasakay sa boat, nauunawaan nila. Ang alam ko, nagmimisa si Father Robert.
Right.
Nung nangyari yung maneuvers ng Chinese Navy warships at saka Coast Guard, nasa gitna sila ng mass nung nangyari yan. At natigil pansamantala daw yung mass, no? Nung umikot yung vessel ng sinasakyan ng mga atin ito. No? Natigil si Father Robert. Parang ano nangyari, no?
Right.
Nakita ko yung ilang mga video ng UNTV, yung ilang video ng ilang mga news outlets while it was happening. No? Very transparent yung mga pangyayari.
Well, in plain sight, no. But that's my point, Ron. This is in plain sight, in your face intimidation by China. Magpadala ka ng mga higanteng barko na ganyan, and then knowing na siguro talaga mga civilians na nandito. For all I know, baka may intel pa sila na hindi handa yung mga people in charge of this convoy, which of course, as you correctly point out, we don't want to gaslight ourselves here. Clearly, the provocation and the escalation, in fact, that's a term na ginamit ng mga kaibigan natin sa gobyerno, like USEC, National Security Council, Jonathan Malay, no? The term he uses, this is a provocation. Si Bronner ay galit na galit, 'di ba? Kasi personally he witnessed this, 'di ba? So this is it. Ito yung quote niya, no? It's pure aggression. I personally witnessed how many times the big Chinese Coast Guard militia ships cut our path. They water cannon us, they bumped us. It's angering. So this is the other incident. Pero at the same time, meron ka pang incident na ginaganon lang yung ating civilian convoy, no? So ayon kay Jonathan Malay, this is a serious escalation on the part of the agents of the People's Republic of China. So these are very, very strong words that are coming out. Ang tanong ko ng Ronald dito is, of course, I'll go back to what I've been writing on this issue, my take on this issue, what Chinese are up to. But again, I'll try to play the devil's advocate. But isn't this the part you say na baka naman, to begin with, there should have been more preparations before this was done. And there should have been an anticipation that China will use some very serious intimidation tactics. Diba? I mean, tama sinabi mo, they were not ready for this. So clearly, there should have been either people who know how to deal with the situations, maybe veterans of Philippine Navy or now in commercial or civil society activities, or there should have been proper training. I don't know. Is it because nung process of getting permission from the government was taking so long and probably may kulang ng preparation? Kasi yun nga eh. Kasi the message that is going down here is in a negative sense, dalawa, no? Now, one is, China can just keep on pressing us until we'll just give up and make... Kasi sarili natin bakuran yan eh. Natatakot na tayo umikot sa sarili natin bakuran. Medyo ibang klase ng intimidation yan. Or two, Eto naman kasi mga to, nagmamaganda, yan tuloy, natawahan kayo. Alam mo naman yung ganun sasabihin ng mga pro-China and Duterte people. So ang sinasabi ko dito is, we have to have that presence of mind about the potential criticism that will come out after that incident. Kaya, I'm not saying na
Yes.
frustrate, but I could see why Commodore Tariela will immediately come out and say, no, we were there, we were providing support, we wanted them to continue, but ultimately this was their call. You get what I'm saying? Kasi the optics is, I'm not sure it's helping our case eh. Parang nanalo ang
Tama
China
yun.
to a certain degree dyan eh.
Tama yan,
Oh.
Christian, no? Pero sabi ko nga, sa monitoring ko,
Aba, Christian na
halos
naman ah. Hindi, sige, go ahead.
halos lahat ng balita, maliban sa mga trolls, no? Halos lahat ng balita positive eh. No? Nagulat nga ako doon sa, na basically walang criticism masyado doon sa ship captain na nag-turn around, no?
Yeah.
Dahil parang naunawaan nila yung sitwasyon ng isang private ship captain, no? Tingin ko yun yung strength at saka weaknesses nitong proyektong ito. Ito yung first time kasi na nagkaroon ng civilian convoy. Ito yung first time na nagkaroon ng partnership yung government, no, yung armed forces, tsaka yung civilian convoy. At syempre sa simula ay pinipilit ng civilian convoy na may sarili silang mga barko. May sarili silang, ang gusto kasi nung simula ng Coast Guard, sumakay na lang lahat sa Coast Guard eh. No? Pero nung simula kasi, bawal ang mga foreign correspondents. Bawal ang simultaneous telecast. Bawal ang sariling Starlink. No? Bawal, ang daming bawal eh. Ito yung first time na pinayagan lahat yan. After several weeks of negotiations.
Right.
Kaya medyo historic eh. At the end of the day, pinayagan yung mga foreign correspondents. Bagamat meron naman ng mga nag-back out sa kakahintay. Halimbawa, BBC, no? Reuters, Al Jazeera, The Guardian, marami nag-atrasa na sa kakahintay bago sila maaprubahan. At hindi sila pwedeng too late na sumama, di ba? Kaya isa yun siguro mga more than 30% doon sa mga nakalista ay umatras. Dahil ang tagal bago aprubahan yung mga foreign correspondents. Pero eventually pinayagan. Ikalawa, eventually pinayagan ang simultaneous telecast, no? Na hinihingi ng mga journalists dahil originally in the past, pwede ka mag-telecast from the port, papunta or pabalik. Hindi during the trip. Ngayon pinayagan Kaya maraming first kaya kailangan mo maunawaan, Richard. Kaya may mga tension, may mga vacuum na nangyayari. No? Ngayon, dahil sa nangyari, baka pwede na sa susunod, no, imbis na kumuha ka ng mga private boats, no, aside dun sa mga fishermen's boats, no, ay baka pwede mag-joint na yung Coast Guard at saka yung media, foreign media, at saka yung atin ito. No? Pwede na sila magsama dahil yung dating mga restrictions ay nawala na. No? Na dati ay meron. No?
Right.
Dati ay meron. Dahil, unawain mo, siyempre kung private captain yan, in a private boat, siyempre iba yung training yan
Yeah.
Hindi yan Navy, hindi yan Coast Guard na battleship.
Yeah, iba yung rules of engagement, iba yung threshold of risk that they're willing to accept. At of course, may liabilities yan
Kahit next time, kumuha ka ng private vessel with a private captain, baka dumaan din sa ganong klaseng problema.
That's what I'm saying,
Dahil ang
yeah.
obligasyon niya is to protect his private boat. No, hindi yan centralized command Ngayon, kung yung mga restrictions ay natanggal na, baka pwede na ng mas unified command in the future.
Yeah.
Halimbawa sa Scarborough, no, na mukhang pinagpaplanuhan ng atin ito dahil marami silang miyembro na fishermen doon. Sa kung kasi sa Palawan, hindi masyadong marami yung miyembro ng atin ito. Sa Scarborough, sa Baho de Masinloc, medyo marami. At saka hindi ganun kalayo, medyo malapit. No? Yun yung, kaya siguro yung mga lessons dito ay pwedeng to strengthen the next project. Halimbawa, kung matutuloy yung Baho de Masinloc, no, yung Scarborough project, no, yung mga, tingin ko, yung isang pinag-uusapan, baka hindi na kinakailangan kumuha ng private boat at saka private captain. Mag-usap na lang, no, para pag private talaga, kakabahan
Yeah, that's a very good point, Ronaldo.
Pinapaikutan ka nila ng Chinese Navy, di ba? Nervousing ka talaga no?
Yeah.
Pero mahirap naman kumuha ng Navy captain na ilalagay mo sa private vessel. No? Baka hindi lang
Yun nga, hindi ka
may-
pwede maglagay ng, I don't know, taxi driver sa Ferrari Formula 1 to. I mean, no offense. I'm sure taxi drivers are fantastic guys,
Yes.
but iba to eh. Ito ay war zone almost. Nakakatakot at kalaban
Yes.
mo, pinakamalaking giganteng navy na inis sa Philippines. I mean, Rod, just my take on this issue, of course, katulad ng sinulat natin sa isang article natin is, China is trying to regain yung strategic initiative because mukhang na-fluster talaga sila. Hindi na nila na-expect na isang Bongbong Marcos Jr. Well, obviously, we can debate about how much of this is Bongbong Marcos, but they didn't expect that under Ferdinand Marcos Jr., the Philippines would be this assertive. Yung aggressive transparency initiative ng Philippine Coast Guard, itong mga ramped up resupply missions ng Armed Forces of the Philippines, joint patrols with their partners, first ever joint aerial patrols with the United States, just after a joint naval patrol with Australia, calls for quadrilateral patrols, bringing in even the Indians and some of our other partners. So, nagsama-sama lahat yan. Meron pa yung EDCA aspect ng pinag-usapan natin. And I said sometimes, this is also about China pressing and intimidating us sa West Philippine Sea. Para siguro, sabihin niya, pag-isipan niya, yung gusto niya sa Taiwan, di ba? Pag manggugulo kayo dyan sa North, kakawain namin kayo dito. Di ba? I mean, so China is really desperate now to regain the strategic initiative because we really surprised them, or rather Marcos Jr. really surprised them because he's essentially Aquino, in a way Aquino on steroids, right? Like things that Aquino would have loved to do later on. Of course, syempre, kakalabas lang after Aquino lang. Like you could imagine na what Aquino started, BBM is pushing it to the next level. Itong pagbisita niya sa Indo-Pacific Command, all of these big things happening here and there. But Ronald, having said all of those things, obviously the question I raise here is this. Clearly, China is not just testing the Philippines, it's also testing the United States. Ang tanong ngayon is, anong basa natin sa response ng US aside from their typical response na any armed attack will invoke mutual defense treaty. But clearly, hindi tanga mga Chinese. They're not gonna do an armed attack, but they'll do anything short of an armed attack. They're gonna water cannon us, they're gonna intimidate us. So that's where we are right now.
Ang isang maganda rito sa mga pangyayari, in spite of the scaling up ng harassments, in spite of the scaling up of aggression, in spite of the scaling up ng presence nila sa West Philippine Sea, ay hindi humingi ng tulong ang Pilipinas sa kahit sino.
Right.
Diba?
Issue ownership.
Inabsorb natin yung brand, pero hindi tayo humingi ng tulong. No, yun yung isang maganda dito sa nangyari. No? At hindi tayo nag-scaling up ng ating sariling military presence. No? Talagang inabsorb natin. Siyempre, yung medyo masakit dahil nagulpi ka. Parang FPJ ba? Yung mga pelikula ng FPJ, nagpapagulpi muna, di ba? Kaya, ganun yung nangyari dito, no? Pero hindi tayo humingi ng tulong, ha? Wala tayong hiningi. Nagbigay ng statement yung mga EU, yung US, no? Iba pang mga bansa. Dito sa nangyari, condemning it. No, nabasa ko nga kanina yung sa EU, tsaka yung sa US, yung statement nila.
Even Sweden, which is 300 years of neutrality. Of course, now they're joining NATO and all, giving in. But this is a country which is very careful about what they say. Kung pansin nyo, tahimik ang Sweden before on many issues around the world because yun yan, they have centuries, parang silang Switzerland, diba? And now, of course, they're joining NATO because of Russia. That's a long discussion. But that's my point, Ronald. I completely agree with you na maganda na we are reminding the world that this is our issue. This is not US-China rivalry. This is about us protecting yung sarili natin bakuran. But the reality is that Chinese are treating this as part of a bigger fight with China and as a part of intimidation of the rest of ASEAN. Because over the past 24 hours, ang dami kong pinost about kung nasaan ang Pangulo, nasaan ang ASEAN. Not a single ASEAN country or not the ASEAN as a whole has said anything about, never mind this incident, but 5 or 6 other incidents throughout the year. The bullying that is happening to us. And kaya nga ako, I love ASEAN, pero medyo, ano bang ambag nila ngayon kung they're not gonna say anything about this?
Richard, medyo tahimik yung ASEAN, no? Parang yung Vice President, tahimik, no? Diba? Di mo napansin?
Next episode na yan, pero that's a good segue. Yeah. Papunta na tayo dyan. Papunta na tayo. Medyo ASEAN policy.
Oo. Kaya, alam mo, isang bahagi ng scaling up, sabi ni AFP Chief of Staff Browner, nung in-interview siya doon sa BRP Sierra Madre, sabi niya, grabe, ang daming Chinese vessels dito. No? Mukhang naghahanda sila para dito sa pagdating ng Christmas convoy. Yeah. Kaya sabi ni Browner,
kasi ang ingay nyo, nakikinig sila sa mga vlogs natin.
Mukhang naghahanda sila. Ba't ano na paghahanda nila sa Christmas convoy? No? Less than 100 NGOs,
Yeah.
sectoral leaders, no? Ano makakatakutan mo ron? May mga dalang mga regalo, no? Ano makakatakutan mo ron? Pero yun ang sabi ni Browner, kaya natawa nga ako, eh, no? Ang dami.
De, Ronald, wala kasi silang...
Para sa Christmas convoy, sabi niya.
Alam mo, Ronald, wala naman civil society in China in a strict sense of the word because they're not allowed, really, di ba? In the Chinese system is total domination of the society. Kaya siguro wala silang konsepto ng independent, autonomous civil society action, especially on very sensitive issues like this, no? So again, I don't mean offense to some real NGOs in China trying to survive despite the dictatorial situation, but I'm saying as far as the state is concerned in China, they don't understand what's an independent autonomous. Hindi nila maintindihan isang Ronald Llamas na wala na sa gobyerno na matagal pero ang daming hanash, di ba? At hindi nila alam ng gobyerno, minsan napipilitan dahil malakas tayo.
Parang Richard Haydaya, nanonood sa gilid-gilid. No?
Ayan na naman tayo. Pero
nagpa-podcast na lang, no?
Pero may masabi. Oo, pero may masabi.
Kwento-kwento na lang dito, pamarites-marites na lang dahil laos na eh. No? Mga laos na eh, no? Pero alam mo, Richard, isang elephant in the room, no? Ang audience ng China ay yung sarili nilang tao. This is a new kind of Chinese nationalism, no? Na hinahandaan nila for Taiwan. No, natapos na nila tingin nila yung Hong Kong. Pero marami silang economic problems eh. So it's not just about a new revitalized Chinese nationalism. No, this is a distraction away from their problems, no? This is a new kind of world diplomacy. Dahil nung sinimulan yung world diplomacy, hindi pa masyadong ganun kalalaki ang mga problema inside China. Ngayon malalaki. Not only economics, not only demographics, no? Kundi mga simpleng mga problema like floods, no? Binabaha ang Beijing, binabaha ang mga key cities ng China, no? Nararamdaman nila ngayon yung climate change. So ang dami nilang problema at doon sila kinakabahan. If they're middle class, no, in the hundreds of millions, ay magsisimulang magduda sa leadership ng Communist Party. Kung yung middle class nila in its hundreds of millions, 400 to 500 million, ay magiging disenchanted with the leadership of Xi Jinping na wala na siyang i-blame na ibang faksyon dahil almost total yung kanyang kapangyarihan. Yun yung problema pag wala ng ibang faksyon na masisisi. Lahat, the buck stops with you. No? Kaya
walang sisisihan nila yung mga foreign countries, di ba? That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna create fake news na this is conspiracy and everything like that.
Posibleng disenchantment sa galit. Di ba? Dito. Pero alam mo, mga pragmatic din ito mga Chinese. Hindi naman ito mga bobo.
Mautak sila.
Medyo hindi rin sila tatawid doon sa linya eh. Yung military na border, hindi sila tatawid dyan eh. Kaya ang kinuha nila, scaling up, harassment, no?
But just below the threshold.
Ang habol nila, tayo mismo umatras. Halimbawa sa BRP Sierra Madre. Tayo na mismo umatras. Hindi nila papasukin yung supply. Hindi nila sasakalin nila yan. No, para tayo na mismo ang kusang umatras. Duda ako, if ever they will use military action against a rusty warship na posibleng mag-provoke ng mutual defense treaty. No, ako, tingin ko, wala pa sa perspective
but
nila.
again, Ronald, but our question is, yun nga like, okay, they're not gonna cross the Rubicon, but short of crossing the Rubicon, they can do 10,000 horrible things to the Philippines. That's the point eh. So para sa akin, okay yung reassurance.
I-drain nila yung ilog sa ilalim ng Rubicon.
They're gonna build a dam on the other side of the Rubicon River and then divert it to Gaul. That's my point eh. I mean, that's a very good analogy, right? Like the Chinese don't even need to cross. They will drain the Rubicon and make 3 gorges dam on the kabila papunta. So hindi pwede yung style ng US ngayon na parating i-remind ng China, wag niyong ng Pilipinas, wag niyong armed attack. Syempre, China, di naman tanga, pero ang dami pa na. So I think there is a lot of challenge for US and the Philippines to figure out how they respond to this increasingly almost hindi lang siya gray zone magba-black zone na siya almost, but just short of arm attack siya. So 50 shades kasi yan, di ba? But I want to also before we go to the next part, because I want to talk about Vietnam, because from what I understand, President Marcos Jr. will be visiting that country quite soon. From what I understand, and currently President Xi Jinping of China is actually in Vietnam, and Vietnam is like the the nation of the year. No, it's a country that hosted both Biden and now Xi Jinping within a single year. No other country has been treated as importantly. And the thing is, the Philippines is also courting Vietnam. And if there's one ASEAN country na pinakamalapit sa atin, yung kanilang threat perception sa China dahil sa kanilang 1,000 years of struggle, supposedly, well, parang, where's the love? Kasi, Ronald, naalala mo, 2 years ago, nung kinawawa ng China yung mga Vietnamese fishermen sa Paracels, nag-release ng statement ng Department of Foreign Affairs, essentially expressing solidarity with Vietnam. Alam din natin na throughout the decade, you were in the Aquino administration, the Vietnamese tried to build some sort of a semi-alliance with us, right? And eventually they did piggy bank on our arbitration award. So parang ang point ko is, kumita sila sa relationship natin at nagparamdam sila na there's more to this relationship. But they're kind of also missing in action. I mean, I cannot expect much from Malaysia, to be honest, considering, di ba?
Alam mo, Richard, very pragmatic din ang Vietnam eh. Very pragmatic din sila.
Parang Chinese.
Nandun sila sa UNCLOS eh. Nag-observe sila, no? Kausap, sabi nga nila sa akin eh, nung nasa UNCLOS kami, pag nanalo kayo dyan, susunod kami. No, magpapafile din kami ng case.
Diba?
Nung na-meet ko
diba?
sila,
They led us on eh.
Nung na-meet ko sila 2 years ago, sabi ko, akala ko magpapafile kayo ng case pag nanalo kami. Ang sabi nila sa akin, high ranking Communist Party leader ng Vietnam, sabi nila sa akin, hindi, okay na, panalo na kayo eh. No? O susunod na lang kami sa victory nyo. Alam mo,
medyo user-friendly.
Bahagi ng growth ng Vietnam ay yung trade nila with China. May love-hate relationship ang Vietnam with China eh. Diba? They've been at war for 1,000 years. They've been at war. Pero nung pupunta ako sa kanila nung 2013, tinanong ko para kausapin yung kanilang defense chief, yung kanilang foreign minister at yung kanilang intelligence chief, no? Kasama ko pa nga si Bali Gutierrez no? Nung pumunta ako, undersecretary ko pa siya noon eh.
Nga pala, Bari work pala sa... nga pala, yeah. Before siya nag-Congress.
Vince Dizon, no? Ang sabi sa akin ng mga Vietnamese, sabi niya, especially during the worst of times,
right.
Nung may gera sila, they were, in recent history, meron silang 2 gera with China. Di ba, in-invade pa ang Vietnam ng China?
Yeah, 1979 and 1988.
Diba? Over Cambodia. Tapos may nangyari pang incident sa Spratlys.
1988, Johnson South Reef.
80
Johnson South Reef.
Vietnamese Navy ang napatay ng China. No? So, yung tension nila, mas matindi sa tension natin. Pero, hindi yung kanilang backdoor, yung kanilang bilateral, hindi nawawala. Meron pa rin silang party-to-party exchanges at saka military-to-military exchanges. Right. So the bilateral remains, even especially during the worst of times. Actually, nung pumunta ako sa kanila noong 2012, 2013, nalaman ko nun na meron pala silang code of conduct with China sa South China Sea, between them. Siyempre, hindi yan nasusunod. Pero imagine, meron silang code of conduct na hindi maaprubahan sa ASEAN. No? Kaya bilanggit ko yun sa cabinet at that time. No? So, ibig sabihin, meron silang love-hate relationship, perhaps it's not that accurate. No? Na may mga times na very intense ang kanilang trade. May mga times na very intense ang kanilang gera. Actually, gera, invasion, no? All-out war yung nangyari, no? Sa kanila. Pero, halimbawa ngayon, nakikinabang sila sa trade with China. No? Kaya,
I mean, much of what their export is based on Chinese capital, investment, technology. In fact, nahuli pa yung mga solar panels na made in China na ginawang made in Vietnam. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Meron din India, meron din silang halos 2 beses nagkaroon din ng gera ang India with China. Pero malaking bahagi ng pharmaceutical ng India ay dependent on China. Diba? Malaking bahagi ng kanilang IT is in relation with China.
The semiconductors and all.
Intense yung kanilang away sa kanilang borders. No? So yun yung iba sa ating relasyon, no? sa China. Pero baka kailangan kasi itong mga nagsisigaw ng suporta sa atin, they have to put their money where their mouth is. No, halimbawa, we still have to really feel the impact ng kanilang economic aid at saka investments na sinasabi nila.
Speaking of which, sorry, Ron, I have to cut you because ang dami, kanina pa, kahapon pa tinatanong sa akin. In fact, interestingly, when I was in Singapore the other week, nasa lobby bigla, muntik ako nag-fanboy, si yung founder ng Nvidia, ito yung pinaka-biggest semiconductor producer, si Jensen Huang. Ito yung naka-leather jacket parate. Favorite mo yan, dapat may friends kayo, di ba? And there are plans for Nvidia, in addition to Apple, to move more of their production to Vietnam. So ang nangyari ngayon sa Vietnam is they're using their sister-to-sister communist cultural ties to China to make sure things are an even keel. At the same time, they're getting everything from the West, high-end semiconductors, and at the same time, quietly, they're getting things from Russia, ng mga weapon systems and all, na kasi Cyrillic yung kanilang weapon system. Punta ka sa isang fighter jet sa Vietnam, it's all Russian, Cyrillic, di ba? So like, you have like 3 hands getting from everyone, like, mautak ng mga Vietnamese India pa, Japan pa, in Japan. So like, that's my point. They have like 10 hands getting from all sides while protecting their national interests. I don't want to be fanboy of Vietnam, but I'm not a fan of their communist system, but I'm a fan of their nationalism. I'm the fan of their sense of nationhood, their sense of strategic autonomy. Sobrang dynamic talaga itong bansa na ito. They made mistakes in the past nung in-invade nilang Cambodia, kinawawa sila ng buong mundo. So they learned their lesson not to rely on any foreign power because the Russians abandoned them by the 1980s. Bugbog na bugbog sila sa Afghanistan. So they learned...
Kausap ko yung defense minister, sabi nila, huwag kang magtiwala dyan sa mga superpower.
Exactly. Gagamitin ka lang nila kasi tatapon ka nila.
Binigyan namin ng base yung Russia sa aming Cameron Bay. Nung nilusob kami ng China, they never lifted a finger to help us. No? Galit na galit sila. Kala nila puprotektahan.
Nako Ronald, ingat ka sa mga sinasabi mo. May mga ka-DDS tayo dyan na tuwan-tuwa sa mga sinasabi mong ganyan. Wag na tapon na natin. No, ang point doon is hindi mo itapon yung alliances mo. Develop ka ng cross-cutting alliances. Hindi lang, may multiple friends ka na hindi ka 100% in each of them, right? It's like 50% here, 50% dyan, 50% dyan. It's like a diversified portfolio. Mautak, hedging. Yan ang strategy ng Vietnam. Kaya hindi talaga pwede tayo purong US lang at purong mga Western partners. We have to go. I mean, ito yung sinabi ko. So kahapon na Ronald, marami naman tayong kaibigan, may mga bagong trolls at kaibigan na rin ako. So I said, in the past year alone, India, a non-aligned country, has done more for the Philippines in the West Philippine Sea than entire ASEAN in the past decade. So tuwan-tuwa yung mga pro-Modi. And at the same time said, but I'm not a fan of the current government in India. Di galit na naman sila sa akin. But that's the point. I think India is a very good, interesting relationship we have to develop. Now, I think there's a lot that we share with that country. And they see us as a natural ally and partner in Southeast Asia. Very similar political systems, very similar history. At mayabang din tayo. Punta ka sa mga conferences, di ba, Ronald? Pinoy at Indian at Singapore yung pinakamaingay pag Asian, di ba? Mga pinakamadaldal. Natural talaga tayong allies May R&R na rin sila.
Napakadaldal.
Exactly.
Richard Hindarian yung mga yan. No?
Ronald, yun lang naalala ko actually. Di ba sabi mo kanina, di ba nagyabang ako na top 100 na ako sa Singapore. Number 1 na tayo, top 100 din tayo sa Spotify. And then sabi ko, sino kalaban natin sa Asia? Di ba I said Hong Kong and Singapore? And then at the back of my head, I forgot one big country. India! Yun ang hindi ko matalo-talo mga yan. Malakas talaga yung mga yan. Magaling. Oo, pare. Mekos-mekos yung mga yan. Mekos-mekos.
Mga international conferences.
Wala tayong laban doon. Oo.
Indians, no?
Grabe sila, pare. Ibang klaseng energy mag mga Indians sa kaibigan natin. Kaya, mamekos-mekos tayo dyan. Oo. Na mahal ko yung mga yan. I feel very comfortable with them. Yeah.
Pero kahit yung nangyayari yan, hindi ko naman sinasabi na kinakailangan din nating maging kasing pragmatic nila. Ang sinasabi ko lang, kailangan nating ayusin yung ating mga relasyon dito sa mga sumusuporta sa atin.
Yeah.
Halimbawa, yung pinakamalaking Coast Guard vessel natin, galing sa Japan, hindi yung tulong. Binili natin yun, no? Baka naman yung susunod, tulong, no?
Yung susunod yata, tulong na yata Yeah, but that's good point, good point. Yeah.
Mahirap naman yung, di ba? Yun yung kailangan natin gawin. So, halimbawa, bakit medyo may kaunting grudging respect ang China sa Vietnam at saka Indonesia?
Right.
Dahil naipakita nila, they can stand to China din Diba?
Right.
Pinakita rin nila na hindi sila kayang ibubuli ng basta-basta. Bago sila pumasok sa mga pragmatic relationships. Correct. No? Merong respect na hindi mo kami pwedeng ibuli. No? Hindi mo kami pwedeng ibuli. Lalo na ngayon yung Vietnam, ngayon yung pinaka-scaled up yung kanilang relasyon sa US.
Yeah.
Diba? Ngayon,
comprehensive strategic partnership. They have it with China, with Russia, with US, and now with Japan. Nung isang week nasa Japan yung kanilang president giving a speech sa Japanese diet. Katulad ni Pinoy, yung boss mo. Yung nag-speech siya sa harap ng and supporting Japan. So now yung new favorite ng Japan is Vietnam dito sa Southeast Asia. We're an old affair. We're an old fire, fuego. The new fuego now is Vietnam. No, I really really appreciate this discussion. Ronald, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, on this.
Ako lang panghuli Richard, no? Ay tingin ko itong mga events na ito, no? Because somewhere along the way, we lost our sense of nationhood. Somewhere along the way, we lost track of our patriotism. No?
Right.
Somewhere along the way, di ba? Parang nawala ng kahulugan yung ating pagiging Pilipino. Tingin ko sa mga panahon ito, this is the best chance para balikan yan eh. To reinvent yung ating pagiging Pinoy, no? To rediscover yung ating unity. Halimbawa, nakakatuwa dito sa pinapanood natin na atin ito, Coast Guard, etc. Ito yung first time na nagkaroon sila ng unity eh. Hindi ito usapin ng mga political differences. Usapin ito ng pagiging Pinoy.
Right.
Hindi ito yung xenophobic nationalism. It's a nationalism, no, laban sa invasion ng ating territory, no, ng ating EEZ, even our territorial waters. Dahil yung Chinese Navy nandun na sa Kwan hindi lang nasa EEZ nasa border na ng ating territorial waters at labas masok.
Bakuran talaga natin
this
yan.
This is not naiiba ito eh. Kaya this is a good a time para i-rediscover natin yung medyo nanghina or natatter na ating patriotism, yung ating sense of nation, no? Of course, kinakailangan dyan ng leadership. Kinakailangan dyan ng isang enlightened leadership. At kinakailangan dyan ng strong civil society. Ang sinasabi ko lang, perhaps those elements na nandito ngayon, kailangan din natin i-scale up. Para irespeto rin tayo ng mga nambubuli sa atin. Para irespeto rin tayo ng mga gustong tumulong sa atin. Paano naman tayo tutulungan kung yung ating mga sarili hindi natin kayang tulungan? Diba? This new sense of nationhood, hindi yan magsisimula outside of us. It has to start
self-respect
inside
din yan
of us.
Self-respect.
In our family, in our neighbors, in our community. No? Diyan magsisimula yan. Yun ang nakikita kong kagandahan nitong civil society atin ito effort. No? Na hindi dependent sa mga political parties, hindi dependent sa mga elites, hindi dependent sa mga taipans, kung hindi talaga ang grassroots base. No?
Pero Ronald, sana next time medyo dependent for training kasi kailangan natin ng isang kapitan na handa sa ganitong sensitive at nakakatakot na operation. This is legit stuff.
Hindi naman yan mangyayari sa unang salvo.
Exactly, I agree with you.
May learning curve yan. No? Ang masama ka dyan kung hindi ka matututo sa simula. No? At tingin ko, dito sa civilian mission ito, na napapanood ko sa TV at nababasa ko sa diaryo,
malayo ka eh. Malayo ka sa nangyayari.
Mukhang kinabukasan, no? Baka sa susunod, sumama ka na dyan, Richard, no? Kaso baka lalong bombahin ang China kung nakita
I'll go from my private jet on the diretso. Naka-shades ako ba? Andrew Tate style.
Para shoot sa BRP Sierra Madre, no? Galing sa isang F-16.
Correct. Gusto ko yan. No, thank you so much. I completely agree with you. No, that was exactly what I was expecting to hear, which is this is the first time. This is a very complicated operation. There was a lot of back and forth negotiation, but this is just the first. It's the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Sabi nga ng mga Chinese natin kaibigan. Then may this be the first step in the Filipino people helping their government to uphold what is ours within, sa loob ng ating bakuran. And you're absolutely right, Ronald. In fact, I had a discussion with some fellow millennial experts, na sabi ko, baka itong West Philippine Sea talagang magiging springboard for rebirth of the Filipino nationalism, diba? In ways that Rizal and that generation was very much steeped in. Now, Ronald, on that note, alam ko nagiging emotional ka na. Let's keep that emotion kasi marami tayong pag-usapan in the next episode. SMNI, Harry Roque, Badoy, Ka-Eric, Jay Sonza, yung favorite natin. Pag-usapan natin, malaki palang consultancy fee na. Ako, mali ang mali ang natin, mga sektor natin. Anyway, but before that, of course, if ASEAN was the silent element almost so far dito sa West Philippine Sea, may mas silent pa dyan, which is the Vice President of the Philippines and the whole Duterte clan about... Kasi, just to be clear, yung mga nag-excuse na, oh, hindi, VP yan, syempre, she will have respect for the... Wait lang, ang dami ng stance sa Middle East, sa Gaza, kung ano-anong... Ito, sa sarili natin bakuran, wala pa silang stance. Kasi I was checking the Twitter account of the Vice President, last night. Mahuli niya yung mga bisita niya sa mga preso, ganon. And speaking of that, maybe you want to talk about ICC too in the next episode. So thank you very much, Secretary Ronald Llamas. That was good discussion. I like it. Mahalaga yan. Siyempre, unang-una talaga parati sa ating West Philippine Sea. Atin to God bless. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
Salamat din, Big R.
Salamat. Okay, let's do the next. No need for break. Okay ka? Go na tayo next. And then mag-break na next.
No problem.
Aba, uminit-unit Okay. Alright, here we are. Ito na. Kumbaga, the West Philippine Sea sets the stage. Now, ang daming na-comment. Hindi lang si Haydaria, hindi lang si RNR, ang daming madaldal dito. Si Senator Mig Zubiri even called for potential expulsion, no? Of the Chinese envoy, who's not necessarily the most celebrated Chinese envoy. Forget about other envoys, but even by China embassy standard, this guy is not the most celebrated and welcome one. And then si Martin Romualdez, Speaker of the House, Martin Romualdez, reminding our partners and our country, reminding China to respect them, saan. And then, like lahat, may comment na, si Robin Hood, the President, napakalakas yung statement. Gusto ko yung President, basahin natin, mahal na mahal natin yan. Sabay ganun. Kasi galing sa Solid North, so baka naman. Ang strong ng statement ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. na talagang we are not gonna be intimidated. If anything, this will strengthen our resolve, right? To fight for our rights. Kaka-recover lang sa COVID, kaya malakas ang loob ni President BBM Jr. Now, but there was one very deafening silence there aside from ASEAN, and that's the Office of the Vice President. Chinek ko yung Twitter account, personal. Chinek ko yung page account. Biglang kay Len yung lumabas. Nagpa-page. Wala talaga Kaya ang dami mga comedy na meme, di ba? Na statement, and then blank kay Sara. And then yung iba pasaway, nilagay nila ng Chinese. Yung statement, di ba? Di ba nagre-release siya ng Mandarin na I don't want to say it, baka maano tayo political link. But you know what I'm saying? So Ronald, let's talk about Sara Duterte. Maybe they're concerned about ICC, kaya busy sila. What's going on here? Yeah.
Well, kailangan mo kasing unawain, Big R. Kailangan mo unawain, Richard, at yung mga katulad mo, no, na kine-question yung silence, no? Baka yung iba kasi, ayaw magsalita dahil baka mamali ng sasabihin, no? Ikalawa, baka may kaunti pang tampo dahil yung kanyang hundreds of millions of intelligence at saka confidential fund ay nilagay sa Coast Guard.
Bagong angle yan May okay na.
Lalabas ng statement dito sa West Philippine Sea. Parang doon na napunta. No? Kaya pabayaan mo muna.
Grabe naman ang conspiracy theory
na yan.
Siguro
baka next month, pwede na siya maglabas ng statement. No? Pwede na siya maglabas ng statement. Baka pag ganyan, pinilit mo bang maglabas ng statement, baka banatan pa yung Christmas convoy. Baka banatan pa yung Coast Guard.
Right.
Baka banatan pa. No? Yung
let's talk less mistake.
Na bumunggo
right.
na daw doon sa napakalaking Chinese Coast Guard vessel. No? Ikaw ba naman, no? Maniniwala na itong napaka-pipiranggot na supply ship ay bubungguin yung napakalaki, no? At napaka-armado na Chinese Coast Guard vessel, no?
Right.
So baka inaayos pa lang ni Vice President yung kanyang statement, no? Dahil hindi naman siya katulad ng iba dyan, no?
Ano oras na?
Hindi naman katulad siya yung iba dyan na nakakahanda na yung mga statement. Hindi naman siya katulad ng mga dyan na malinaw na yung posisyon.
Yeah.
Yung sa kanya, anong tawag ba rito sa Biblia? Road to Kairos. No? Hindi pa siya tinamaan ng ilaw No, habang naglalakad siya.
Ang tunay na pagmamahal sa kanilang mga strategic partners after 6 years of Tatay Digong's great relationship with China, yung tatay na went to Xi Jinping earlier this year, called special friend of China shortly before meeting Naunaan pa niya si Henry Kissinger. Ganun ka-special si Rodrigo Duterte, di ba? So, some are saying maybe this is about, not naman tampo dahil natanggalan ng or hindi ito. Baka, ayaw na ma-hurt yung feelings ng kanilang special friend. Baka naman, ganyan yung angle, Ronald. Do you think there's...
Posible. Baka kasi hanggang ngayon, hinihintay ni Sara at saka ni Digong yung $25 billion na commitment ng China sa Pilipinas.
24.
Oh, ayun, yung 24. My bad. I stand corrected. Baka hinihintay pa nila. Dahil kayo kasi hindi nyo iniisip yung benepisyo ng $24 billion na 6 na taon na yata hinihintay pero wala pang 1 billion yung pumapasok. So, bigyan mo naman sila ng breathing space na sila, nagkukukan pa sila umaalsa pa sila na darating ito. So, pwedeng yung mga katulad mo, yan yung bad cop, sila yung good cop, pero bahagi ng isang strategy.
Aba. Ikaw, Ronald, bakit parang ikaw yung naging Ronald Llamas ngayon? Ako yung Ronald Llamas ngayon na parang pasaway. Ikaw yun, no, let's give them benefit of doubt. They're on the road to enlightenment. Ayan na naman tayo, Ronald,
Hindi mo ba nalalasahan yung sarcasm? No? Hindi mo ba
Hindi, nalalasahan ko pero pinapahamak mo ako eh. Pero ako yung pinapahamak mo eh. So, gusto ko yung sarcasm.
Sabi mo na sandali. Medyo kukuha lang ako ng battery. Hindi mo ka naglolobat.
Ay, naglolobat na tayo. Sige lang, go ka lang dyan. Ganon kami ka-spontaneous dito. Ma, ba't yung battery ko? Pati ako, nalobat na rin ako. Wait lang, sige, itutuloy natin itong discussion. Ito na, ako ka siya. Ronald, ano ka nakikinig ka sa akin habang kinukuha mo yung battery? Hindi, ang akin naman kasi, ang dami nilang masabi sa mga kung ano-anong bagay. Sa peace process, ang daming masabi, ang daming hanash. Totally disagreeing with the president. Sa conflict sa Middle East, actually I agree with the Vice President that we should look at the prospect of a ceasefire early on because, you want to make sure that any exercise in self-defense is not at the expense of thousands of innocent children. And then, di naman ako nag-disagree sa sinasabi ng mga Duterte people na let's have diplomacy with China. But I always say, diplomacy on whose terms? It has to be a diplomacy that's mutually beneficial and a diplomacy that is outcome-oriented. Hindi yung diplomacy na nagsasalita tayo habang binabastos tayo sa sariling bakuran. That's not diplomacy, right? That's self-delusion. That's enabling bullying, which is what Duterte did for 6 years, di ba? Wala tayong nakuha sa China investment habang yung ginawa nila sa Reed Bank, sa Juan Felipe Reef, yung ginawa nila sa atin sa mga militarization, and now, of course, things get even worse. So, umayos-ayos na sila. Now, going back to this.
Hindi mo kasi, Richard, correct lang kita, hindi mo nakikita yung kanilang contribution doon sa kanilang mga trolls.
Ay, wala silang trolls. Ronald,
nakakatulong yan sa
genuine
GDP.
yan.
No, nakakatulong yan eh. Yung pinapump nila sa kanilang mga trolls, sa kanilang mga spokespersons, no? Yan ang hindi mo nakikita eh. Medyo
Ronald, hindi mo rin minention yung mga Pogo, mga favorite natin business investment. Kumbaga, if Vietnam gets Nvidia and like Huawei investment, we get Pogo investment. Ganon kagaling si Tatay Digong kanyang legacy.
Yung mga triads, no? Yung mga triads, yung mga human trafficking, no?
Ayan tayo.
Yung nakakatulong sa ekonomiya yan eh, no?
Kasi mga pulis nagkakaroon ng trabaho. Nadadagdag yung... Meron pa nga tayo Mandarin speaking, di ba? May Mandarin speaking unit na tayo sa PNP. Lumaki pang trabaho. May 13-month pay pa. Yung mga nagtuturo ng Mandarin, kumikita rin sila. Dumadami mga estudyante, may kontrata na sa gobyerno. Pasalamat talaga tayo.
Lords, no? Na pinapang-prime yung ating economy eh, no? Yan yung mga
hindi kaso Ronald, hindi nare-reflect sa GDP numbers yata yung nangyari yung underground economy. But ito na talaga, Ronald, But what if talagang busy sila kasi yung ICC na mukhang seryoso na ito, no? Anong marites natin dyan, Ronald? May mga balita ko, may mga movements behind the scenes, ha?
Tingin ko nag-a-advance na yung panayar eh. Dahil, siyempre, hindi naman basta-basta pupunta rito yung ICC paglabas ng international
may preparations.
So, bago yan pumasok dito, may mga kanyan, no? May mga
groundwork, legwork.
Feelers yan. May mga feelers yan, no? Hindi ako magugulat kung meron niya mga emissaries no? Tinatanong yung gobyerno, no? Kami ba ay, dahil sabi nyo kasi a few months back, you are totally close sa pagpasok namin, no? Meron pa kayong 2 resolution from both houses. Ngayon ba ay
Never say never.
nyo kami na hindi na katulad ng dati, no?
Right.
So meron yung mga feelers na pinapadala.
Correct,
At hindi ako magugulat na kasabay yung mga feelers, no? May nagdadala ng feelers. May
Ayan.
magdadala ng feelers, ipapaabot sa DOJ, ipapaabot sa Malacanang na kami ba hindi nyo tataboy pag pumasok kami rito, no? Ibang usapin pa yung kay Kibuloy, FBI yun extradition yun.
Wait.
No?
Wag natin
Ibang
sa
usapin yun,
Jason sa edition na may episode tayo about Jay-Z. Jason sa.
Pero yung ICC doesn't happen overnight. May mga build-up yan, no? May mga emissaries yan, may mga feelers yan. Tingin ko, yung mga build-up na yan ay nagsisimula ng mangyari. Kaya, mas nagiging definite yung possibility, no? Na itong sinabi ng DOJ at saka ng gobyerno na seriously namin pinag-aaralan yung pagpasok ng ICC dito, no? Mukhang yung seriously ay papunta na doon sa pagpapayag.
Pero siguro after after holidays, medyo mag-ano muna sila. Mag-enjoy muna.
Siyempre, Pasko naman tayo. Pero sabi nga natin doon sa mga previous ating episode, this is becoming more serious. No?
Yeah.
Ang sabi ko nga doon sa isang interview ko mga 2 weeks ago, this is almost an existential issue for both sides. Existential for the Duterte dahil kung papasok yung ICC at hindi lang si Digong ang kukunin, no, yung mga nakalagay sa testimony ni Las Cañas na lagi namang inilalabas ni Ellen Tordesillas sa kanyang Vera Files, no, medyo mas marami yung kukunin. It will entail the collapse, no, of not just one faction, of the entire Duterte camp. Baka matira lang si former President Arroyo at saka si Aimee. No? Baka sila yung matira. No?
But you mentioned a particular religious group or two will also back them up, hindi ba?
Yes. No? Kaya pwedeng mag-collapse. Kaya existential for that group.
Yeah.
So, pero dahil nakasandal sila sa pader, they will also do everything, no, para hindi mangyari yan.
Right.
Kaya it could also be existential for the Marcos government. Dahil delikado ang mga Duterte kung sila ay nakasandal sa pader. Dahil siyempre, hindi pa naman ganun kalayo yung kanilang pagiging gobyerno. It's just 1.5 years. So, ibig sabihin yung influence nila, hindi pa totally nawala. No? Kaya may nakikita kang statement.
Yeah, may mga may mga leftovers pa. Yeah.
No? Former PMAers, no? Na kailangan palayain si Bandoy at saka si Caseli. No, dahil baka mangayayat sila sa kakaka-fasting, no? Sa Congress.
Wait lang. Mamaya na Smni, next episode pa. I know, gigil ka eh.
Nagpawala lang yan itong influence ng mga Duterte. Na hindi pa yan totally nawawala. So ang gagawin nila, to the max, no, ay pigilan. Hindi yan, ako, knowing them, hindi yan magpapahuli ng buhay. No? They will do everything, no, para hindi yan mangyari.
Yeah.
Kaya diyan siguro nagiging totoo yung mga chismis na destabilization, yung mga coup, na no less than the chief of staff ay inamin. Di ba? So hindi na yan mga simpleng marites ni Richard at saka ni Ronald.
I never marites, just to be clear.
Yan ay nanggagaling mismo sa mga key players. No less than the chief of staff.
So this is not just smoke, you know, it's a smoke that there's...
Yes.
Na, ang tingin ko kasi, Ronald, the way I put it, you know, it's existential for Duterte and it's most consequential for Marcos, right? At the very least. If not, it could backfire, no? I mean, do you see the possibility, and ito yung sinulat ko sa isang article ko na, I mean, civil war. I mean, not in a civil war sense of the word, but in a sense that you may have a situation of Duterte and, I don't know, whatever, Viz means solid, and some religious group around them, some of them we'll discuss later on, versus essentially loyalists, dilawans, reformists, progressives, technocrats, pro-US, lahat yan magsama-sama, lahat ng mga may galit sa kanila. I mean, like, you remember yung sa ABS-CBN franchise hearing, lahat na may axe to grind, binuhos nila sa ABS-CBN people, di ba? Lahat ng mga ni-report, binuking, etc. Including some people who were in Aquino cabinet. Alam mo naman sino yan, di ba? So, something like that could happen to them also, di ba? Lahat ng mga na-piss off nila or lahat ng mga nag-switch na to the Romualdez, Marcos side, they could all team up and that could be quite a crazy situation, right?
Tama yan. Tama yan.
Asymmetrical civil war, yeah.
Yes. Ang kaibahan lang, this has to happen in a few months.
Yeah.
Hindi ito mangyayari in a few years. No? Dahil baka lumabas yung ICC decision, ICC International Warrant, early next year.
Right.
Ibig sabihin, hindi makakapaghintay yung Duterte to counter-attack, to counter-punch.
Yeah,
to
the time
max
element is
ng
key
taon.
here. You're right.
No? Yung mga Marcos naman, hindi naman sila makakapaghintay until the midterm. Dahil kung yung kanilang mga kalaban ay mag-survive beyond the midterm, magbabago yung complexion ng political alignments. Yung
Right.
mga umalis sa mga Duterte, baka bumalik, no? Going into 2028. No? So, from the side of the Marcos, they have to do what they want to do, what they have to do, also in a few months. No? Dahil they cannot afford for their rivals or their enemies, no, to survive and regain
The horizons are
after
shrinking.
the midterms.
Yeah. The horizons are shrinking. The coordinates of possibility are shrinking. So yun nga, it always goes back to what we said. One of the ultimate paradoxes of Philippine politics is that a conflict avoidant president, a notoriously conflict avoidant president, is now confronting one of the biggest conflicts in Philippine politics. We never had two such powerful
In
dynasties.
a few months.
Right, and backed
In a
by
few months.
two superpowers, each of them coming to head the way they are. This is crazy. I mean, kaya nga, di ba, I did two shorts now, one comparing to Game of Thrones, the other one Shakespearean, Macbeth level, di ba? Like, this is crazy. This is Philippines.
Lalo na, Richard, for the first time, binanatan na siya publicly ng kanyang vice president, who is literally, hindi lang figuratively, literally a heartbeat away from his presidency. Diba? Yun yung kwan dito, no?
Well, pero Ronald, di ba alam mo yung conspiracy theory na hindi ito si Tutong Jr.? Di ba may mga conspiracy dati na hindi ito? Pero ako kasi nung na-meet ko siya first time, di kamukha talaga niya yung tatay niya eh. Like, there's no way you can double. Di ba yun yung conspiracy na matagal na nawala yung junior na yan, ano lang yan, replacement lang yan. So I'm just saying, the heartbeat argument might not work kung marami siyang doble. Parang Saddam style, no? Doubles.
Ang problema, hindi naman tayo pwedeng maglabas na ng popcorn at manood.
Yeah, exactly.
This will affect all of us eh. This will affect all of us. How this is resolved, either way, will affect all of us. No?
Yeah, I mean, this is potentially a civil war situation. Now, I'm not saying it's patas yung two sides. Just like the Roman Civil War, Caesar was always having the upper hand over Mark Antony and all. But this is it, diba? I mean, this is something very serious, and I think this perfectly sets the tone for the next episode, which is the saga of Smni. Because what I say to the popcorn people is, be careful what you wish for, because a lot of perilous precedences could be set before matanggal itong franchise ng SMNI. Yung mga ba kasi poetic justice as KRNR puts it, but at the same time, this could also set the tone for something even scarier down the road. So pag-usapan natin yan in the next episode. Thank you very much, Secretary Ronald Limas, for another fantastic discussion.
Big R.
You want to take a break? 2 minutes or something? Before this?
Sige.
Mag-break ka muna. Guys, balik lang kami 1 second. Panti lang, nalobat ako Nalobat ako dyan.
Sabi nga tataji.
appetizer mo siya, Raquel, wala.
Are you going to eat now?
Ha? Hindi, 1 second. Tapos yung mga yung last episode na. Go na tayo, Sir R, para ano,
Yes.
mahabol na natin lahat. Ito na, last episode na to. This is special. And then hopefully next time we can arrange live in person naman.
With Professor Leloy.
Yes. Okay. Ay, shucks. Hindi pala. Sorry. Na-stop ko to. Dapat sa computer ko nilagay. Once again. Stop recording. Second. Wala na. Paras tayong gutom na eh. Sorry medyo timing natin. Hindi maganda. Okay, let's go for this. Ay, ito na. Live na pala. Wait. Isa ba? 1 second, sorry. Alright, this is it. Ito na ang pinakainabangan ng lahat. Pag-usapan natin, Jay Sonza, Harry Roque, Lorraine Badoy, yan, SMNI, yan, at saka yung paborito mong diba? Yung lahat yan, pag-usapan natin ngayon. This is the episode. Okay, so, ka-R&R, Secretary Ronald Llamas, what is the dateline you have in mind? Before the end of year, baka matanggalan sila ng franchise or this could drag on for a little bit longer?
Baka a little bit longer.
Yeah.
No? Pero napakahalaga rito nung sinasabi ng aking idol si Harry Roque.
Mga bayani yan eh.
Pinapakinggan ko lahat ng kanya sinasabi. Nung sinabi niya nung October 11, 2021, no, napakahalaga ron no? Ang sabi niya, you cannot blame Congress for not renewing the franchise of ABS-CBN because that is one of their powers. No? Power ng Congress yan eh.
Yeah, interesting.
No? Kaya may karapatan sila na hindi renew yung franchise ng ABS-CBN.
Yeah.
At ngayon, itong nakaraang ilang araw, December 11, 2023, ang sinasabi naman ng aking idol na si Harry Roque ay walang kapangyarihan ang Kongreso na magsuspinde ng prangkisa.
Believe ka talaga sa kanya, no?
Referring to SMNI. Kaya, ang galing talaga ni Idol, no? Yan talaga yung, diyan ako magde-defer, no? Sa galing sa double talk.
Well, I mean, I would say, Ronald.
2015, sabi niya, no, wag iboto yan si Mayor Duterte, mamamatay tao yan. No? Just a little after that, no? Siya na yung spokesperson ng mga matay tao, defending yung mga matay tao. Kaya yan yung the best example, no? Yan yung the best example ng double talk na kinakailangan sa ating mundo, no? Ano, umiikot yung mundo because of gaslighting eh. Umiikot yung mundo because of disinformation. Umiikot yung mundo dahil sa pagsisinungaling.
Talagang umikot na yung mundo natin Okay, relax lang Sir Ronald. Alam ko na tumaas ang blood pressure mo dahil kay etong acrobatic master of the Philippines. Dapat gymnastics to eh.
Pati ako, tumaas ang presyo eh.
Kasi umikot ang mundo, bigla yung camera mo bumaliktad-dilagtad na nilito.
Sakto, di ba?
Nako, alam mo Ronald, ang advice ko sa'yo, medyo bawas-bawasan yung panood mo sa idol mo, si Harry Roque. Baka medyo saan tayo mapunta dyan. Ako nga, mga tahimik lang ako, nakikinig lang ako. Interesting, very interesting.
Nakita ko nga, very subdued ka eh. No? Very subdued ka.
Bayani eh.
Very katulad ko.
Bayani kasi, bayani ang pinag-usapan, Ronald. Kaya dapat respetuhin natin itong mga bayani ng... Okay, Ronald.
Hindi mo ba napapansin, Richard? Parang lahat ng mga mararangal ng mga tao ay nasa isang grupo. Di ba?
Yun lang.
Nelo, no? Jason Sa, Di Roque, di ba? Digong, no? Bato, no? Parang nasa isang grupo sila eh, no? Talagang,
Yeah.
talagang napaka...
Birds of the same, ano?
pangalan na ma-identify sa grupo na yan. Paano ba magiging bahagi ng grupo na yan, no?
Actually, mahalagang tanong yan, Ronald, kasi base dun sa isang report, milyon ang bayad dun sa isang, para sa console. Kay Jay-Z daw, 1 million. I mean, I don't know if this is fake news or not. Sa daming fake news na lumabas sa mga taong to, hindi ko alam which fake news is fake and which is like real fake. Like, what is fake and what is real fake? Na-confused na ako. Million daw ang bayad. Ronald, ano bang... Give me anong consultancy na 1 million per month ang bayad sa Pilipinas? Even ADB. Even
podcast na ito, no?
Definitely.
no?
Definitely hindi sa gobyerno. Nung nagtrabaho ka, hindi naman. Yan. Patay tayo dyan.
No? Kaya talagang mukhang
Million, ha?
kamali ako ng grupo na sinalihan eh. No?
Mali tayong pareho.
Ako sumama dito sa grupo na ito ng mga mararangal na tao.
Bayani, mga bayan.
No? Marangal pa, mayaman pa. Imagine mo yun, no? Yung ganong klaseng monopoly sa honor, no? Self-respect, decency, at saka 1 million na consultancy, no? Nasa isang grupo, no?
Gwapo pa daw. Gwapo.
Ha?
Gwapo pa daw.
Saan ba nag-a-apply dyan?
Yun nga, ang tanong, Ronald, ano bang tinuturo dyan na 1 million ang bayad, diba? I mean, how good, in fairness si Jay Sonza, he used to be someone interesting, right? Naalala ko yung Mel Chanco siya, kasama niya, diba? Mel and Jay. You know, he had his glory days. But, kasi, ang nakita ko doon sa post ng isang Abante ba yan? Ano ba yun? Isang batikang broadcaster. Marang nalaman na ang concern ko doon na mas batikang partner kaysa yung consultancy fee. Parang napaisip. Batikang broadcaster. What is this? 2002? This is like 2023. Marami nangyari since then, di ba? Pero speaking of itong grupong marangal, naalala mo, mahilig tayo sa Mandela comment natin kay Leila de Lima. Ano daw sila? Ano ba, di na sila nagle-election? Ano bang hunger strike nila? Kasi naglabasan ng picture ng tao, di ba? Nag-hunger strike si Ninoy na sobrang gaunt na talaga siya, no? Di ba? Grabe yung ginawa ni Ninoy back in the day. Like, he's almost unrecognizable. Ano bang klaseng Hunger Games? Hunger strike ang Hunger Games. Ano klaseng hunger strike ang nangyari diyan, Ronald? Ano bang marites diyan sa Kongreso? Kasi concerned daw eh. Andun na may supervision ng mga doctors, may mga hug sila, ganun. Ano ba nangyari, Ronald?
Oo nga eh. Pag pinapanood ko nga sila, naluluha ako eh. Hawa-hawa ako na sila ay talagang punong-puno ng hunger, no? Punong-puno sila ng hunger. Kaya yun yata yung ibig sabihin ng kanilang hunger strike, no? They really hunger for something eh, no? Yun yung
pamak na naman tayo.
Alam mo, maganda rin mag-hunger strike si Harry Roque, no? Maganda rin siyang mag-hunger strike, no? Dahil baka
wala akong sinabi ka. Baka naman, solidarity. Solidarity. Makiisa, exactly, solidarity.
Pag nag-hunger strike ka, pwede ba kitang pabayaan? Sasamahan ka. No? Nag-hunger strike yan, no? Yung SMNI, dapat samahan din ng mga tigka-SMNI.
Yun nga, hunger strike, pwede naman yung wag ka lang mag-lechon every night, diba? Pwede naman hunger strike yun.
Pag si Mark nag-hunger strike, sasamahan ko. Pag yung Richard Haydaria nag-hunger strike, sasamahan ko.
Oo naman. Kasi mga bayani din tayo.
Mag-hunger strike, sasamahan.
Wag na, masyado na siyang payat pag si Leloy ang nag-hunger strike. Tama na yan, umalis ka na dyan, masyado kang payato, diskilito.
Ikaw, binibigyan mo ng kahulugan yung sinasabi ko eh. Wala naman ako nais-pahiwasan.
Wala akong sinasabi. De Ronald, may mga comments kasi dyan, bakit di daw sumasama yung isang bayani sa hunger strike?
Kasama nila. Oh, yun yung kwan ko eh. Hindi ko nagustuhan yung misi mo eh.
No, Ronald! Pakita ko sa'yo, isi-screenshot ko yung mga live comments dito sa tabi. Wala akong sinasabi. Nakikita ko yung mga, bakit hindi lang sumama sa hunger strike yung isa? Ang dami nagsabi, oh, hindi ako yan ha. O, basahin ko yung mga pangalan nyo. O, ikaw, Annabel, wag mo nang sabihin yan ulit ha. Ikaw, Day, ha. Wag kang tumawa-tawa dyan. Wala, silang nagsasabi, oh. Oh, yung isang kadidiyas natin, sabi niya, iyak ka na lang kayo kasi madrama talaga daw yan, di ba? Now, speaking of this, I mean, okay, ganito, Ronald, no? Ako kasi ang argument ko is, yes, SMNI is not ABS-CBN. It's not even close, right? And even the journalism that they have is questionable. But I also understand na they're trying to be like the Fox News of the Philippines or something like that, if you can put it that way. But the Fox News, medyo malayo yung standard yan. But having said all of that, you can watch Succession to have an idea about probably what... No, but having said that, kasi ang akin naman, baka nakakatakot na precedence ang mangyari dito, di ba? Na pwedeng biglang tanggalan ka ng franchise. And this could have a chilling effect, di ba? Because ang concern ko dito is, baka bashing media becomes something cool na. Remember after ABS-CBN, marami kong kilala na hindi naman pro-digong pero natuwa sila, hindi, tama lang sa ABS-CBN kasi ganito sila, ganyan sila. And then after this SMNI, we might normalize making media the punching bag, right? So, like every legit, I'm not talking about this people, but every legit journalist now is gonna think twice. Like, baka gagawin sa akin yan ng mga papahiring nila ako if i-expose ko yung mga kalokohan na nangyari. It's not like we have Denmark as our Congress, right? Hindi naman tayo Scandinavian. So, may problema talaga. So, my concern is be careful what you wish for. Na as much as some see a poetic justice here, we might also send some... Kasi yun nga, ang tanong dito, yung Soto Law. How do you define someone is journalist, right? Like, I'm not part of any journalistic, organization or like that. And hindi na yata uso yan, di ba? Parang hindi na siya katulad ng dati na there's one centralized journalist organization. Wala na eh. And yet, I work in Philippine Daily Inquirer. I work in the biggest network. So I am technically a journalist. This is what I do, di ba? So, ang concern ko dito is once, baka slippery slope na itong mangyari. As much as I agree na itong SMNI, ayusin nila. Hindi pwede yung may anonymous text na dalawa sasabihin mo meron ka ng pang-expose. Like, that's not how it's gonna work, right? So, I mean, I don't know, Ronald, where do you stand on this? Kasi others are concerned.
Well, in one sense, nag-agree ako sa'yo na hindi dapat ito i-weaponize, no? Para ma-undermine ang press freedom, no? Pero, at the same time, Richard, hindi ako naniniwala na ito ay actually kaparehas nung
they're not.
nangyari
Yeah,
sa
of course.
ABS-CBN, no?
Of course.
Tingin ko may mga measurement na talagang hindi magagamit do sa pagtanggal ng franchise ng ABS-CBN at pwedeng magamit sa SMNI. No? Yes, ayoko i-weaponize ito, no? Pero tingin ko hindi ito slippery slope pa. No? Ang naging slippery slope ay yung sa ABS-CBN. Ito ay mas malinaw.
Corrective.
Mas malinaw yung ibig sabihin ng fake news. No? Dito mas malinaw yung ibig sabihin ng what is worse about journalism. No? What is bad about yellow journalism?
Yeah.
Or what is bad about lunatic journalism? No?
Tatay journalism.
Which is something we can do without, no? Kaya ang tingin ko, iba yung measurement na ginamit sa ABS-CBN nung tinanggal yung franchise nila at iba dito. No? Habang nag-agree ako sa iyo na mga katulad natin ay hindi papayag, no?
Yeah.
Na ma-undermine yung freedom of the press, ma-weaponize, halimbawa yung pagbigay at pagtanggal ng franchise against press freedom. Ang sinasabi ko lang, this is not the case. This is not yet a slippery slope. No?
Hindi na kailangan i-weaponize kasi self-weaponize na yung mga yan. Like, they are shooting themselves in the foot. Yeah.
Ang tingin ko nga, baka hindi lang sila kinakailangan ikulong sa Kongreso eh. No? Ano, ang napaka-komportable ron eh. No? Baka kinakailangan silang kasuhan at kung mapapatunayan na sila talaga ay giants ng disinformation, ng fake news, no? Ay talaga dapat silang maparusahan. Hindi sa Kongreso. No? Kaya hinihiwalay ko lang na tingin ko iba yung pamantayan sa ABS-CBN na ginamit at iba ngayon ito.
That's interesting because you also had the situation of Congressman Franz Castro coming out saying we're against revocation of the franchise, but we are for investigation into links between them and China, particularly CGTN, yung National TV Network, International Network of China, because they're also question about this is not just about fake news and disinformation. This is about potentially disinformation in behalf of a hostile country. That's the kind of argument that sila Franz Castro is saying. Like, before pa tayo pupunta sa issue ng revocation of franchise, tingnan natin yung mga potential questionable practices here, di ba? What is your take on that?
Well, yan, pwedeng investigahan yan. No, pero yung sinasabi ko kanina, goes beyond usapin lang ng fake news eh. Nag-advocate sila ng violence sa isang seksyon ng ating populasyon eh.
Yung red tagging and all, yeah, that's incitement to hatred and violence.
Red tagging, no?
Yeah, that's right.
Patayin mo ito, patayin mo yan.
Yeah,
no?
medyo crazy na yan.
Yun ay kasamang SMNI.
Yeah.
Hindi lang siya simpleng fake news. No?
Right.
Kanyan, talagang advocacy of violence against a section of the population. No?
Right.
Actually, sa international, may definition yan. Diba?
Yeah, incitement to hatred and violence. Yeah, pwede.
Yeah.
Baka ma-ICC na rin yung iba sa kanila kung ganyan, di ba?
Isang element lang dyan, yung fake news. Pero isang mas malalim, mas detestable element, yung advocating violence against a section of the population. No? Ibang usapin pa yung sinasabi nila Congresswoman Franz Castro na actually may batas tayo dyan eh. No, about foreign interference, foreign intervention.
Yeah.
Medyo meron diyang mga jurisprudence na ng mga foundation na nagcha-channel ng pondo, no, sa mga political parties. Tingin ko pwedeng gamitin yan diyan.
Yeah, and of course, some are saying now there should be also a look into case of the pastor, right? The great friend of the president, because you're talking about extradition, you're talking about FBI most wanted, you're talking about crimes. Yeah, yun nga eh. Yeah.
Baka mauna pa yan sa ICC.
Right.
Yung possible extradition. Dahil seryoso yan eh. Seryoso yan para sa mga Amerikano, at dahil meron tayong extradition treaty between the two of us, pwede yung i-invoke nila at makabilisan yan.
Right.
Pag in-invoke nila yung extradition for cases of money laundering, cases of human trafficking, and even rape, no, of minors. Seryoso yan. Mabilis yan. Hindi yan katulad ng ICC na mahabang proseso.
Last one, I mean, patapos ng taon, di ba? Medyo papunta na tayo into lantern parade mode sa amin sa UP, into holidays mode. Are you expecting some big things happening, or you're expecting lulutuin yung mangyari sa January in the coming days before maka-close ang shop, diba? What are you looking at here in terms of whether it's the SMNI situation, whether it's the ICC?
Baka yung mga nagpaplano, hintayin mo muna nila after New Year. Then after Christmas at saka New Year, malulungkot yung tao, then ubus yung pera. Kaya baka gamitin nila yun.
Matataas pa inflation, kailangan ng ano.
Jokingly, no? Dahil pagdating ng January, yung mga tao, ubus yung pera eh. Ubus yung pagkain, no? Maraming problema. No? Kaya baka yun ang gamitin nila pagkakataon para mag-agitate. Pero actually, it can happen anytime. It can happen anytime.
Yeah, there could be a kind of a night of the long knives kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. No? Yeah, wag mo kalimutan nangyari yung EDSA uprising, no? February, no?
Right.
After New Year, no? Huwag mong kalimutan, may maraming mga nangyayari after ng Pasko at saka New Year. Hindi ko sinasabi na mangyayari yan. Kasi sinasabi ko lang, it can happen in the next 2 months. Not years. No?
Yeah.
Duda ako kung itong bungguan na ito ay tutuloy-tuloy hanggang end of next year.
You don't see a marathon, you see a sprint here.
This is not slow burn. This is quick burn.
Yeah.
Actually, hindi lang quick burn, a quick
implosion. Yeah, major conflag. Yep.
Yan yung nakikita ko. Sana hindi. No? Madalas naman kasi nakakamali ako eh. Hindi katulad mo.
No, I mean, Ronald, nakita mo naman yung picture nila Martin Romualdez and Arroyo, you know, Christmas mode, happy, smiling. So, I'm wondering if there'll be another there'll be another interesting picture between, you know, unit team or whatever is left of it. But for what it's worth, it looks at tapos ng unit team. It's just a question of announcing it, and it's a question of what's going to come next. Is it going to be a civil war situation? Is it going to be a moderate civil war? Is it going to be a vicious fight? Or all of that is going to be challenged to 2025, and then after that makakaalaman na who's still standing, diba? So these are very interesting situation. All I'm saying is that don't just have popcorns, listen carefully, plan, and be ready to make the most out of it, especially for those na who care about our country, our democracy, and don't want to be caught between one political dynasty or the other, right? Because at the end of the day,
Yes.
as
Make
much
a
as
stand.
as much as you may think that
Make a
Marcos is way better than Duterte, still he's not your necessary progressive leader, to put it mildly, right? So yun yung context na tinitingnan natin ngayon. Thank you very much, Secretary Ronald Llamas. Looking forward to catching up with you in person with our other friends and co-hosts. Also, of course, yung mga iba dyan, speaking of other collaborations, we're also looking at a long conversation with Kristan, among other mga bloggers dyan. So this is what I'm trying to do, Ronald. No, I'm trying to create a culture of solidaridad, right? This is what Rizal and our tunay na bayani, I don't know yung mga nandyan sa hindi nagle-lechon ngayon, pero yung mga tunay na bayani, they believe in solidarity and working together. We don't need to compete against each other. We don't need to try to present we're the smartest, we're the best. Kaya but I believe Ronald should make his channel, right? Kahit yung mga interviews natin, lagay mo dyan. It's shared copyrights, don't worry about it. And so thank you so much, Ronald, for sharing your views, and looking forward to catching up with you. And hopefully, baka we can do the other RRC with Christian Tan naman, di ba?
Yes.
Para the Chinoy
Year
point of
ender.
view. Yeah,
Year
Chinoy point of view. Baka sa
Ang dami
Chinese
nangyari
New Year,
this
yeah.
year.
Exactly. Interesting people, fantastic people. So
Huwag ka na magpadala ng huwag ka na magpadala ng pamasko. Yeah, wag na, no? Yung mere
sa
presence
Chinese
mo,
New Year na lang. ito. So yung mga may tanong dun sa interview namin with Kristan and mga others, please also send your questions to us so that we can have more to discuss. The good thing with Ronald Llamas is hindi niya kailangan tanungin, alam na namin yung tanong niyo. Medyo creepy yung level natin, Ronald. No? Pero just for other people who are interested with this collaboration, and yung mga nag-anticipate na yung trio namin, RRL with Lisandro Claudio, hopefully in person also, please make sure you forward to us your questions and all. We're more than happy to discuss them. Wag lang sana personal, kasi si Ronald, very shy person yan. You could see him, he's very, very shy. He really doesn't want to talk. Yeah, mahihain. Ayan na tayo. Si Leloy na lang tanungin nyo. Yun yung medyo showbiz yan. Thank you so much, Secretary Llamas. Talk to you soon, and hopefully, God willing, meet you soon. Meet you soon in person. Catch up tayo.
Maraming salamat. Face to face naman.
Oo naman.
Thank you.
God bless. Ingat na kayo. Kumain na kayo, bossing. Pasensya, di tayo para nagdag-dinner. Oo, lobat na ako eh. Yeah, thank you. God bless. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Yun. Alright, thank you very much mga guys. Ayan, tingnan, mahal namin kayo. Na-arrange ko na rin yung mga ibang crossover. So hopefully one also with Kristan. I'm hoping that it could be also kind of a long-term kind of discussions and all. Just like what we have with Ronald Llamas, with Lisandro Claudio. That's what we should do, diba? That's what we should do. We should reach out. We should create solidaridad, and we should bring in different perspectives. And I'm always more than happy to work with other people and bring in ideas, because I never had I never thought that I alone have an answer to everything. Of course not. And I always learn, and I always appreciate you guys also learning from our discussion. On that note, thank you very much. God bless, and talk to you soon. Salamat po. Thank you very much. God bless.